Hi everyone, and welcome back to Laura Larson Organizing, your channel to get organized, at home and at work for a fulfilled and productive life. Today we are in the second episode of this month's topic, which is organizing time. And today we are doing a deep dive into the really difficult topic of how to sort out time, aka your calendar. Last week we talked already about the basics of organizing time, how time management and organizing are related, and why it's so important. I also went with you through the 5 steps of how to organize your time. So if you missed that out, go to last week's video and check it out. Today we are starting the first deep dive into this topic, and this deep dive is about how do I actually sort out my time? How do I sort out activities from my calendar and free my time? As you remember from the last videos, if you're not, please watch it. We have the 5 steps. The first one is to visualize, to actually get an idea of how does your ideal day, your ideal usage of time is going to look like. Second, you take everything out. That means in regards of time is you write down everything that you did over the last 2-3 weeks in either on paper sheets or in a digital table, just to get everything out and on paper and to get an overview of what you actually did the last 2 weeks. And also make sure it's a relatable week and not any vacation or any extra week you had. Then step number 3, when you wrote everything down, you categorize it and put it into relatable categories like hobby activities or job activities or family activities. So you can kind of put it in categories, which makes it then way easier for step number 4 to sort items out. And this is so easier said than done, sorting things out, that in last week's video I just briefly went over the point of how to sort out activities. But this week's video I want to dedicate to it because I know how difficult it can be to sort out actually things related to your time. So how do you evaluate now and decide what you keep in your calendar and your schedule and what not? Well, if you do it after the Marie Kondo way, then you take each card with your activity in your hand, or you go through your timetable and decide, does this activity spark joy to me or not? This is very easy for an activity like seeing your best friend. You love it, so you do it, and this item can stay. It's also really easy for activities that you really know you really hate, like for example going to the gym. You know you never liked it, so you look at the activities, say, thank you gym for making me know that just going to the gym is not for me, I prefer to go running or doing some other exercise. And you let this go in gratitude. So far so good. But what is with these things that are not fitting in this hell yes or no? What is with things like this meeting at work, which you absolutely hate and you actually think it does not make sense, but it's your job, you have to go there? Or what is about all the household chores that you don't like to do, but they have to be done to live in a kind of clean environment? You're right, some things you just can't sort out. But wait, don't give up right now. Sometimes these activities drive us crazy or we hate them because we don't have the right balance in our lives with these activities. Sometimes we just fill our days with only these things that we don't like. And then we wait desperately for weekends or holidays to finally do what we want to do. Or sometimes it's not the meeting that you don't like or the job itself that you don't like, but it's just the feeling at the end of the day that you worked again 8, 9, 10 hours, but you didn't feel like you actually achieved something. It's the chaos of activities that disrupts our daily life. If we can get that sorted, if we can get our activities sorted and do them in a more structured way, our days will get way more joyful, and even activities that we didn't like don't bother us that much anymore. So the solution to your problem is called prioritizing. If you constantly feel stressed, if you constantly feel like you're not accomplishing anything, if you constantly feel like you're doing things that you don't like, you're having a wrong prioritization in your life. So what helps you to prioritize? Well, one tool I told you already in the last video, and this is the step number 1, that you visualize your ideal day. Most people don't even know how their ideal day is supposed to look like. They just know that the day they are having now does not make them happy. But they have no idea of what they want. It's like when you go to a restaurant and say, I don't want this and I don't want this, and the waiter is looking at you like, okay, what do you want? So really write down, how does your ideal day look like? How does it look like when you get up? How does your work day look like? When do you have your meetings? And that doesn't mean that everything has to follow exactly accordingly this ideal day to have in the end a fulfilled day. But it gives you a better idea of what you want. When do you want to put your focus in? What things you want to do during the day to have a good day? So the first tool is already visualize your ideal day so you know what to do when. For example, if your ideal day starts with some me time, with some meditation or just a coffee on the balcony or a morning walk, then do this, and this is your prioritization. Then don't get up and the first thing you do is take your phone and scroll to social media or try to catch up on emails or messages. Get up and do this me time. So you have the prioritization that this is the time for you. So that is one part of the problem, that you need to have a better idea of how do you want your day to look like and what's your priority in each time of the day, and then do it. But the other side is, what do you do with all the things that come up throughout the day, like calls or demands or other things that are coming up that are actually scattering your mind and destroying your structure of the day and causing this chaos which makes you so unhappy and unfulfilled at the end of the day. All of these things coming up sound very urgent and very demanding and very important right now. So how do you know what's actually important? What do I need to do right now? What can be scheduled? What can be given to someone else? And what do I just don't do? There's a fantastic tool which I want to introduce to you, which is exactly meant for dividing urgent from important tasks that you have to do. And that is called the Eisenhower Matrix, named after the former US President Eisenhower. And therefore, let me show you the matrix here on a sheet of paper. So you draw a 2x2 matrix, just like that, across, really easy. And then we have, on one side, we have the importance. See, the importance of things. And on the other side, we have the urgency. You see, on this here is the importance and here is the urgency. And these fields divide now into high important and not really important, and high urgency and no urgency. Show you that again. So here we have the importance, low to high, and here the urgency, low and high. So now you have tasks which are not important and not urgent. You have tasks which are very important but not urgent. You have tasks which are not important but very urgent. And you have tasks which are very important and very urgent. And with these two, there are different rules for each of these fields. What do you do with a task wherever this task ends up? And let me explain that to you. So if you have a task which is really low in importance and really low in urgency, that means the task is neither important nor urgent, you just don't do it. Whatever task lands in there, don't do it. Push it aside, you don't need it. It's not urgent, it's not important, just don't do it. Sort it out. Then there are tasks which are really important, but they're not urgent. These tasks you schedule because they're really important. It means you should do it, but they're not urgent. That means you don't need to do them right now. Schedule them. Find a time during this week or during next week or next month, whenever they become urgent, and schedule them. And whenever you schedule them, you do them at that point. Then there are the tasks which are not important, but they are urgent. And a task which is not important means that you don't have to do it. Delegate them. Give them to someone else. If it's not that important, you don't need to do it. If it's urgent, that means it has to be done, but not by you because it's not important. And that leaves us to the last field of the tasks which are really important and really urgent. And these tasks you do on your own right now. But with having sorted out some tasks here in the not urgent, not important field, and also having delegated some tasks, you should have way more time for the important, urgent task right now. And that's the Eisenhower Matrix, and it's a fantastic tool to just, in the beginning it might be a bit difficult or different to think in these different quarters, but once you continue doing it, you're gonna realize it's really great, and at one point it's coming automatic. When an email comes in, you directly think, okay, is it important? Is it urgent? Should I do it? Should I delegate? Do I need to schedule it? Do I need to do it right now or just not do it? And right away, either delete this email, forward it to someone else, do it right now, or put a timer on it to do it next week. And the more you do it, the better you get in it, and create it into a routine of handling every task in your life this way. So I can only recommend you to do this exercise daily. And from step number 3, you should have now your either cards with all the activities you're having, or you have your table with all the things that you were doing during the last weeks from your overview of what you fill your calendar normally with. And try to use your activities from the last 2 weeks that you wrote down to use on the Eisenhower Matrix. And see already if there are some things that you can already sort out or delegate, or you find a different priority and you should do them right now. See if with this tool it already works for you, that you can sort some of the activities out, that you don't need them because they're not important, they're not urgent, or they are urgent but not important, so you can delegate them. This matrix will help you to not only be efficient, but also effective. And most people don't know the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is doing something right and doing something fast, to do something really efficient. For example, climbing up a ladder, to climb up the ladder really fast. But effective means to do the right thing. That means putting up the ladder, the right wall where you want to climb up, because it doesn't matter if you can climb up a ladder really high if you're always putting it on the wrong wall where you not want to end up. So this matrix helps you to do the things right, but also do the right things. And this will free up your calendar so you can already fill it with more things that actually fill you with joy. And then I have another tool which really helps you to prioritize your tasks. And that's called the 80-20 rule. And therefore I'm going to draw something again. So we're having here a wonderful graph, with a graph that goes this way. And on the lower axis, we have the time. On this axis here, we have the time. And on this axis here, we have how much we did get done. And here we have the 100%. That means that this graph is coming close to the 100% line. I can kind of easy to see here. So here means a task is perfectly 100% done. Everything you could not do it better. And this graph is rising really fast, really high, and then slowly approaching here the 100%. And the 80-20 rule means now that I'm gonna have drawn this here, that there's a really sweet spot here where in just 20% of the time you got already 80% done of what you have to do. For example, if you're talking about cleaning the house, you know you have not a lot of time, but you feel very unhappy because it's so dirty in your home. The 80-20 rule says do the activities which are the most obvious in getting the house clean. For example, you vacuum, you wipe the surfaces and whatever, to give you the really fast, big feeling of that your house is clean, and they are going really fast. If you don't have much time, then you don't open the fridge and clean out all the drawers and different shelves in the fridge. That would be here up in the 20% of, because it takes a really long time and doesn't give you that much more feeling of the house is clean. But just vacuuming and cleaning the surfaces and all these things is done in a really short time and gives you a really big feeling of, okay, my house is cleaner now. This is the 80-20 rule. And especially if you are one of those perfectionists, and I call myself one of them, and this is not a compliment. Don't get this wrong. I always thought being a perfectionist is a compliment, but we are one of those people who spend a really long time on doing things and don't get a much better result in things than people who just do the 80-20, who do the most important things, who have the biggest impact in a really short time. Another one of my examples is dressing our toddler. You know, when you put the onesie on a toddler, they have always these 3 buttons to close under the diaper. And if you ever try to dress a raccoon, then you know it's really difficult to put on a onesie on a raccoon. So what we do is, from the 3 buttons that there are, we close 2, because that's all it takes to keep this thing shut. We don't close the 3 of them. It's easier for him because he can then continue running. It's easier for us because it's closed they on. And that's a perfect example of 80-20. 2 of 3 buttons are good enough. So this tool of the 80-20, which helps you to prioritize, to pick out what tasks are most important in the shortest time to have the biggest impact of what you want to achieve, combined with the Eisenhower Matrix, which tells you what is important to do and what you should not do and what's urgent to do, to help you to get a way better feeling of what activities you fill your days with and what things you just sort out, you just don't do. So let's wrap it up from the beginning where we started. We have the 5 steps of sorting out your time, aka your calendar, meaning visualizing your day. I think I focus now enough on how important that is to get an idea of how you actually want your day to look like, to actually end up at one point at a day that you want to look like. And then writing everything down to get an overview of what things are you actually doing every day. This can be the most eye-opening moment already for so many people to really see how much time do I spend on what activities. Categorize them to make step number 4, the sorting out, way easier, and decide what things do you want to keep and what things do you not want to keep. Again, there are some easy things like seeing your best friend or having family time where you absolutely say, I love this is going to keep, this is going to be a high priority in my calendar, and the things you absolutely hate. But there are things in between, and don't worry by those things in between that you not really like, but you also can't skip because you just have to do them because they're required from your job or from your household or from anything. Make sure that you are ending up with a timetable which is not only filled by those activities that you don't like. Always make sure that you fill your calendar also with things that make you happy. So those activities who don't make you happy are actually have less weight. And also make sure that you have a structure in your day, that you are just overwhelmed by everything that's just coming on, because the chaos of things running over us during the day is what makes us unhappy, not the things itself. And with these 2 tools of the Eisenhower Matrix and the 80-20, it should help you to prioritize on what things you actually want to do, things that you want to get done, versus what you should not do and what is just things from other people who want your attention, who want things urgently from you done. So at the end of the day, write a to-do list, write a prioritization, fill those things in the desired time slots when you want to do those things, when you want to dedicate time to do those things. And this should help you sort out a lot of activities, which in the end free up your calendar already to fill it with some free time with whatever you want to actually do. This is the end of the video. This was today's input. I hope you found it helpful and there were some tips which helped you to prioritize, to help you make time, to help you sort out things from your calendar, that you found some things that you are actually just doing because other people want you to do, or because you had the feeling it's urgent, or you are actually a perfectionist and did way too many things for not enough output. So that through this video you found already some helpful tips on how to free your calendar, to free your most important resource. And if you have questions, leave me a comment. I'm gonna answer them all. And if you like the video, like it, share it, and stay tuned for next week's video. It's the 3rd video on the series of time management, where then we actually talk about the step that comes after the sorting out of this week's video. And this is sorting back in, how to organize your calendar, how keeping a structure, how to create the day that you want to. So stay tuned for next week. And until then, I wish you happy organizing.